Celebrities have fans hiding behind every corner. I'm sorry, did I say fans? I meant creepy stalkers. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrities who came face to face with their stalkers. Number 10, Katty Perry. In 2017, the Miami Police Department arrested a Katty Perry fan from Poland with aggravated stalking after he had allegedly been following Katty Perry around the entire country and attempted to get backstage at one of her shows. As the show was about to begin, Powell Jersky attempted to rush the stage before being stopped by security at the last minute. Just before Powell made it to the stage, he came this close to meeting Katty in person. Instead, she watched as he was tackled to the ground and dragged out of the venue. He was charged with 4 counts, including felonies for stalking and escape. According to the testimonies from the actual court case, Powell told the judge that he would do whatever it took to be with Katty. He followed her around the entire country. The case also brought to light a former situation where Powell hid in a stairwell in Miami for hours just to follow Katty into a restaurant. He claims it was the closest that he had ever come to seeing her face to face. A week before his arrest, he was also caught scaling a building in Miami Beach, climbing all the way to the 4th floor just to meet Katty. He was, of course, kicked off of the property and now has a lovely little restraining order to remind him of their time together. Number 9. Keira Knightley. Keira had to deal with one of the strangest stalkers of all time. Mark Revell bombarded the actress with messages online and wrote in chalk on the street outside of her house. According to his testimony, Mark admitted to stalking Keira for 3 months straight, making repeated trips to her $3.9 million home in the north of London. Eventually, he was chased away by Keira's husband, James Wrighton, but the strangest thing about this dude was the way in which he stalked her. While the chalk on the street was the first point of contact, it was when he sent her a USB full of cat photos and cat-themed music that really set her off. He then constantly delivered handwritten letters to the home, but instead of just dropping the letters off and moving along, he would stay there and meow into her mailbox. Yeah, to the shock of nobody, this made Keira pretty uncomfortable, and she was forced to watch as he would appear, leave, rinse, and repeat. Apparently, the stalking was a combination of him being a mega fan, but also wishing to sell his music to her or get her to promote him. The cat-themed music that was on the USB, he did that! Isn't that neat? It turns out Mark has a long and troubled history of exposing himself and being a generally creepy individual. Fear not though, he was eventually arrested and Keira has yet to hear from this man again. Number 8. Robert Pattinson. This is a fun one. Robert Pattinson not only met his stalker face to face, but he actually took her out for dinner. Ever since he starred as the sparkly vampire Edward Cullen, Robert has dealt with a ton of superfans, from the highly dangerous to the relatively tame. Robert has seen them all. Once while filming in Spain, a fan stood outside of his apartment all day for weeks. She would scream his name and take photos, but she would never leave no matter how much he asked. While most people would call the police, Robert revealed that he was so bored and lonely that he went out and just kinda took her out for dinner. Apparently the move was one of pure genius because instead of alerting authorities, he found a unique way to rid himself of the stalker. He said that during their dinner he just complained about everything in his life. Simply doing this caused her to call him boring and she left. While this worked for Robert, I just want to say if someone stands outside of your apartment for a few weeks, maybe call the cops. Number 7. Taylor Swift. Is it really that shocking to learn that Taylor Swift has a stalker? Realistically, she probably has the most amount of stalkers on this list. Unfortunately, she had to deal with one of them face to face. A man named Mitchell Table was arrested after he sent Taylor Swift's father a letter declaring Taylor as his soulmate. He also made it clear that he was anti-government, but that he was also running for president in 2024. Not a great first impression to the man who may have been your future father-in-law. Taylor's team had also received several photographs from various no-no devices, as well as threatening remarks made towards the pop star. In his final and very creepy post to Twitter, he urged Swifties attending her Eras tour to, quote, always be one step ahead of her wherever she goes. This was actually the second time that this guy was arrested for being an absolute menace to Taylor Swift, because in 2018, Mitchell was arrested following a high-speed chase in Arizona. Mitchell was trying to follow a bus that he thought Taylor was on. After tracking a tour bus for a long time, someone finally called the authorities to knock him off the road. Her most recent run-in with Mitch was actually at the start of the Eras tour. He traveled to Nashville, Tennessee, and snuck into her apartment. Yeah, he didn't take anything, he just kinda went in, chilled for a minute, and then got out of there, which I don't know, it's somehow creepier. He currently sits in jail being caught and arrested for stalking, threatening, intimidation, invasion of privacy, and being an idiot. Thankfully, the only time Taylor actually had to see this guy was through the glass of her tour bus while he chased her. Number 6. Sandra Bullock. Sandra is an extremely gifted actor and is considered to be a major player in the world of Hollywood. If you want proof, just look at her $16 million home surrounded by top-notch security. Unfortunately, one night that security team failed to catch a man who was obsessed with the Blind Side star. Suddenly, one night a man broke into her home, forcing her to hide in a closet. The intruder eventually found Sandra in the locked closet and banged on the door as she called the police for assistance. It was revealed after the fact that this particular night, her maid was gone and her son was not home, so the only way that he could know that information was from watching her activities for several days. The man, identified as Joshua James Corbett, was taken into custody, and it was discovered that he had a ton of stuff that he was not allowed to have. Unregistered meanie beanies, whacking sticks, and stabby jabby things. Man, I wish we could say the real stuff online. He was arrested and placed into a mental health facility, but after a very long standoff with the LAPD and SWAT team, he took his own life. Despite trying to break into her house, when asked about the incident, Sandra actually commented on how terrible the justice system is and how the world had failed him, shoving him in some facility, preventing him from getting proper help. Number 5. Drew Barrymore. During a live speaking event in Manhattan, Drew Barrymore was almost tackled by a stalker after rushing her on stage. At the time, there was a security team in place who successfully took the man down and escorted him out of the room. Chad Michael Busto was temporarily detained but was set free following the event. The footage of him rushing the stage is super uncomfortable. While attending the event, Chad shouts Drew's name from the crowd and slowly walks towards her. Security pushes him away and escorts Drew off stage. The moment came during a quiet part of the conversation, so it was not only shocking to fans but to Drew as well. She returned to the stage and everything seemed to be okay. Well, this dude really should have gotten arrested, because only a few days after the event, Drew came face to face with this man again after he went door to door in her neighborhood trying to find her. Chad eventually found her house and started banging on her door with just sheer force. She called police, who found him in the area still trying to break into the house, and he was arrested, charged, but released back into the wild. Good job, guys. Number 4. Britney Spears. When Britney and her now ex-husband Sam Asghari got married, they had to deal with a major stalker from Britney's past. Her ex-husband, Jason Alexander, made his way to the ceremony uninvited and was tackled by her security team. He appeared at the house where the ceremony was taking place and found Britney getting ready in her bedroom. Alex refused to leave the property and actually took out a security guard while being dragged out of the house. His intentions may have just been to be the "I object" guy, but at the end of the day, he tracked down a woman without her knowledge and entered an event that he was not invited to. Stalker? Yes, he did. Number 3. Kendal Jenner. One of the youngest members of the Kardashian clan is no stranger to creepy men. I can only imagine how many nutcases have probably tried to sneak into the Kardashian house in the show's runtime. A man in his mid-20s made a mark as the one that almost got to her in 2021. A man whose name has been kept from the tabloids presented himself at the gates of Kendall's community. Despite the guards denying him entrance, he scaled the walls and got around them. Luckily, he didn't have the exact number of the home that Kendall was in. He just kind of knew which gated community. After Kendall was notified of the intruder, she hid in a room and watched as he searched for her outside of her window. Eventually, he was arrested and after a quick trip to the hospital, was booked for misdemeanor trespassing. Jenner started to steer clear of that house as this was one of a long list of attempted intrusions. In fact, only a few months earlier, someone actually made it to her house and tried to swim in her pool, wearing absolutely nothing. After banging on the walls and trying to get her out of the house, this guy was tackled by her security team. She watched the entire thing go down once again from a window safe and sound. She was later granted a restraining order against the swimster, but it only has a 5-year warranty, so we'll see you in 5 years, bud. Number 2. Lindsay Lohan. The Herbie Fully Loaded star has had her fair share of public mishaps over the years, but a man named Daniel Verder-Warbeck delivered one of the most uncomfortable moments in Lindsay's life. He appeared at the hotel that she was staying in claiming to be her husband. The staff were made very well aware of the possibility that someone might try to sneak in and see see Miss Lohan, so when he was denied entry into the hotel, he started to flip out. He would not let off the reservation manager, even damaging a door in frustration. Lindsay was in the hotel at the time, but she was upstairs and only heard about the situation from staff. Apparently this man had been sending emails to them for weeks, even photoshopping marriage certificates in an attempt to prove their love. Instead, all he proved was that he had a really creepy obsession. The German national was banned from contacting Lindsay directly, indirectly, by electronics. If this dude taped a note to a pigeon and she got it, he was heading for the slammer. He was also banned from the Chiltern Firehouse, which is the hotel she was at, and charged with 2 counts of criminal damage. And at number 1, Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton was the star of the 2000s, having her own reality show and being the one who invented the term famous for being famous. In 2011, she came face to face with a man named Nathan Lee Parada. Paris was all too familiar with this guy and his shenanigans. While being interviewed on the streets, she was just trying to get by when he suddenly popped out of a bush and tried to grab her. A security guard tackled him to the ground, and Paris confirmed that that was the guy who was a regular problem in her life. The issue culminated in Nathan attempting to break into Paris's house while she was still sleeping. He banged on her window before physically breaking into the house. Her boyfriend, Cy Watts, was able to get a hold of Nathan and keep him contained until the police arrived. While being interviewed by detectives, he claimed that his goal was to take as much as he could, and then he planned on moving to a deserted island after the burglary. Thankfully, he was arrested, and she has yet to face him again so far. And those are the celebrities who came face to face with their stalkers. You don't want to see a part 2? Let us know by dropping a like on the video, and please follow the channel if you haven't already. We post more celebrity content every day. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen, and we'll see you next time. Hello, Mr. Fly. Whee!